Hello everybody, MD Polo here. Thank you for joining me. Today we take a look at a Walther PPS M2. Originally this pistol came out around somewhere in 2018, and the M1 model was, even though it was well received, it was a bit blocky. The grip was very square and it had some issues that came up that people really didn't like, and we'll go over that as well. The M2 is 9mm with a barrel length of 3.18 inches. It is a polygonal rifling barrel. It comes standard with capacity of a flush fit mag of 6 rounds plus 1, and they also give you a 7-rounder that has a pinky extension. But you can also buy an 8-round mag, which gives you a bigger grip, of course, to accommodate the 8 rounds. But they do have an LE model, which comes standard with a 6, 7, and 8 rounder, and you get phosphorescent or fluorescent, those sights that you charge, instead of the regular 3-dot sight that the PPS M2 comes standard with. The model in front of you is the PPS M2 RMSc because it has the red dot, and we'll go over all that as well. The introduction of the M2 was not without its hiccups, because as earlier on it was determined that there were some issues with some of the models, some of the serial numbers, not all of them, that were not drop safe. So unlike other manufacturers that do not own up to their problems, Walther did own up to the problems with the PPS M2 and issued an immediate recall. Not all of the PPS M2s were subject to the recall, so you have to go to if you own one, you have to go to the Walther website and check out your serial number and see if it falls within the ranges of the recall. If you do, just follow the instructions, and a few weeks later you get your gun back already fixed. Now, this pistol has been safety checked, but we'll do it again. And one way that you can tell if you buy one used like I did, this is not a new pistol, is, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to tell. Let me see if the focus will catch up. But in this little part here inside, and I don't have a pointer, but where you see that white shiny thing, little mark right there, you would see a dot, an indentation, like if somebody grabbed a hot soldering iron or something and just made a little indentation into the polymer, you would see a dot there. And that's the Walther's way of showing you whether your pistol has been upgraded for the after the recall or not. So that's one way to choose. So obviously this one has not yet been through the recall process. And to be honest with you, I just got it 2 days ago. I haven't checked that this is part of the recall or not. So some of the specs of on this pistol, it is very much the size of an M&P shield. If you're familiar, well, most of us are, this is the size of a M&P shield, and I'm not including the red dot. The overall length is coming in at 6.3 inches. The width is where it shines at 1 inch thick. It is a tremendously thin pistol. Letting you take a look at it there. The weight empty comes in at 21.7 ounces. And in normal times, it had an MSRP of $699 with the dot. I know that in better times, as far as pricing goes, you could get these for about $450. And then for a time, Walther had a a rebate of $100 and some. So you can actually, after rebate, be getting one of these without the optic for just under $400, $350. It's a tremendous value for a pistol that has not only the build quality, but all the bells and whistles that this one comes with. We're talking about the mags. Let me show you what it looks like with the 6-rounder. So that's how it looks like with a 6-round flush fit. Of medium-sized hands, and you are going to have a dangling pinky, even if you have larger hands, of course. And then with the 7 rounds, now you got a full grip, and I have to tell you that it's very, very comfortable. I'm getting a little bit off track here, but let's go back up to the slide. The slide is, of course, a steel slide, and you can see how it has been used. But it has a tenifer treatment for hardness and corrosion resistance, and then on top of that is given a black oxide coating that is over the tenifer, and that helps it to reduce the glare and give it supposedly more scratch resistance. But you can tell it is still subject to scratching. Oops, there goes that. It's got, some people don't really like all these banners that Walther puts on their pistols, and they would prefer that this was a little bit more subdued, but it is what it is. It does have front and rear serrations, which are very positive. They really do their work. This particular model does not have the is not the LE package, but it does. It's supposed to have 3-dot white night sight, not night sights, 3-dot sights. I'm trying to speak too fast. And I took it to the range yesterday just to put a couple mags through it and test for function, since I bought this used. And the white dot, the focus catch up, the white dot fell off. You can see there. So one mag through it and the white dot fell off. And here you can see the shield sight. We'll talk about that. And the rear dot, the rear sight, sorry. So that's supposed to be the picture you get there. On this side, one of the changes that you see, and a positive, is you see how big the ejection port is. Walther really obviously wanted to make sure that nothing was going to get stuck in there. Got a nicely polished feed ramp in there, but look at the size of this ejection port, and it's nicely beveled. So I see that as a positive. And also for its size, look at the size of the extractor. Size of the window here, the size of the extractor. On this side you don't have any billboards, just the slide serrations, again very positive. Here you would have had all your proof marks, your import marks, your serial number, but it's been worn off. You got your takedown levers. We'll talk about that in a second. But that's what we got on top. You got the RMSc red dot, and this is the Shield Reflex Mini sight. It's a compact sight, and you see it fits perfectly on the 1-inch slide up here on the PPS. It is a 4 MOA dot, and has been machined out of aluminum, aircraft grade aluminum, and the lens is polymer. Now, according to Shield, the lens will not break, that it's a polymer, that the lens will not break. But some of the reports that have come up from it is that, yeah, it will not break, but it will scratch. And apparently it's not very difficult to scratch it. We'll see how that plays out as time goes by. Going down to the frame is very different from the original PPS, from the M1, if you call it that way. It is very reminiscent. It looks very much like a PPQ. So it's like they grabbed from here down, they grabbed a PPQ, shrunk it down. You can see even the texturing is very similar to a PPQ. And some people have reported that this little gap here, when you use the pinky extensions or the mags, the 7-rounder and 8-rounder, that this gap right here pinches them. Well, I put 2 boxes, so 100 rounds through yesterday, and I never had a problem with it pinching me whatsoever. Of course, the lower is all polymer. You don't have a rail up front. You have your normal takedown like you would with a Glock. Just pull this down, this slide back a bit, pull both tabs down that you have on both sides, and release the slide. You have the slide lock, slide release lever right here. And this is one of the problems that I have with this pistol, because it happens to fall right where my thumb is. And I have to tell you that about 9 out of 10 times the slide did not lock back on me when empty, because I shoot with a thumb's forward grip and my thumb is right on it. So I have to really either retrain myself to put my thumb away or up or something to get away from this control right here. That is just me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a pistol, but for me, it's just something that it's in completely the wrong place. Your mileage may vary. Going back a little bit back here, one thing that I forgot to tell you while we're looking at the slide is that another feature of the M2 is that it has this little window up here where you can see whether you have a round in the chamber or not. It's not tactile, but it's visual. You can look in there and see if you have a round in the chamber. And then in the back, you got a cocking indicator right here. And all that means, you can see how it's protruding. See that? So all that's telling you is whether the striker is cocked or not. It's not telling you whether you have a round in the chamber. But a lot of people consider this a big plus because, especially if you're appendix carrying, one of the arguments for a hammer or a double action hammer gun is that when you put your pistol in the holster, you can place your thumb on the hammer, and as you're reholstering it, if anything is getting in the way of the trigger, you'll feel the hammer move back, and you can stop the reholstering and figure out what's going on before you shoot yourself where you shouldn't be shot. With this pistol, being a striker fired pistol, you can see there, as you move the trigger, you can actually see, you see it right there? So you can put it in the holster, you can put your thumb in the back as you're reholstering the pistol, and if you feel anything moving this trigger, you'll feel the cocking indicator protrude, and you can stop and say, oh, something's wrong, and stop the process, pull it out. So that may be a positive for you, a negative for others. That's your mileage may vary there. Moving down towards the trigger has been consistently at 5.5 pounds to 6 pounds. So it's a very nice trigger. It's not as nice as a PPQ, but looking at it right here, you got your safety on the blade that once it's fully depressed, it is completely flat. And I'm not saying the trigger shoe is flat, but it gives you a flat surface and not like a Glock that it protrudes. So you go back and you're at the wall right there, and then a little bit of creep, and then it breaks. It really breaks like you're breaking glass. Very smooth. Now this is where some people are going to think it's a bad trigger. Other people are not going to think, because on a self-defense pistol, how much are you really going to be shooting off the reset? But the reset, not only it's out there, but you can barely feel it. There. And then you are on the wall immediately, little bit of creep, and the break. The break is fabulous, but it's that reset that is very, very, you got to pay attention for you to feel it. It's not very tactile, and it's almost non-audible. Here we go. There, little creep. I love that break. The break is so good. So let me take it apart, and I'll be right back with you, because apparently YouTube really frowns on us showing you how to disassemble a pistol. But like I said, very much like a Glock, just pull the slide back a little bit, then pull down both tabs on either side, pull them down, the slide will come right off. And we're back. I've disassembled the pistol, and like I mentioned to you before, just pull the slide back a little bit, then you pull down on both of these tabs, and the slide will release and it'll come right off. So this is what it looks like on the inside. Very, very basic. Now, you do have on the right side of the pistol, you do have a rail that is the full length of the frame here. So you don't get just a little piece here. But on the left side of the frame, you do have just little rails here and little contact point right here. You have to make room for the controls. But some people have made comments that that is not a very well done way to do it. But I think Walther knows what they're doing, and it's worked out pretty well. So there it is. And going to the slide, You got the guide rod, the focus catch-up, then the barrel, a nicely polished feed ramp, and then the inside of the slide. Just well done. Walther did a really good job with it. And then how they milled for the optic as well. No plates or anything, just sits right on it. So overall, a very good job here by Walther. Putting it back together. Hopefully I don't get nailed here by YouTube, but it is what it is. This goes back in. Just like that. Make sure that it's straight. And now here's a trick that, here, let me show you. See if it'll do it. Okay, it didn't do it this time. But sometimes with a PPS, when you put it back together, if your trigger was in the back position and you put it back together, then you'll have a dead trigger. Nothing will happen. So if that happens to you, all you need to do is take it apart and pull the trigger forward. Once the trigger is forward, put it back together, test for function, it'll be just fine. So a lot of people have found themselves like, okay, I put it back together, now my trigger doesn't work, what's going on? And then they think they have a big problem. They don't. Take the slide back out, pull the trigger forward, put it back, test for function, you'll be just fine. Now let's take a quick comparison. We've got Glock 43 here, and it is, so remember I mentioned to you at the beginning that it's very comparable to a shield. I don't have a shield here, but you can see here, both of them unloaded. They're very much identical. And don't mind the optic. And let's see if I can turn this around. Show you there. The focus catch up. You can see how they're very comparable. And with, let me see, where are my mags? So the Glock's going to come in at 6 rounds. So here we have the 6-rounder, but with a pinky extension. So sorry about that, but that's the only one that I have here. And here is the PPS. And you can see there. So if you put them again on top of each other, you're going to see, if you don't mind the red dot, how similar they are in size. And then for the 43X, I've got the +2, giving us 8. I don't have an 8-rounder for the PPS, but it gives you an idea here how with the 8-rounder, the Glock is exactly the same size as the PPS with the 7 rounds. So you know that the 8-rounder on the PPS is going to stick a little bit more. So the 43X with 8 rounds is going to be smaller than the PPS with 8 rounds. Personal preference. There it is. So in conclusion, what do we think about the PPS? Well, there is a downside for me with the PPS, as I mentioned, and that is the location of the slide release. It is completely in the wrong spot for me. I keep riding it, as I mentioned, about 9 out of 10 times the slide will not lock on me when empty because of the way I hold the pistol. Am I going to retrain myself just for this pistol? I'm not sure if that's going to be the case or not. But overall, Walther did a spectacular job with this pistol. The attention to detail is there. The quality is obvious from Walther. And I can tell you that it is perhaps the softest shooting single stack 9mm that I have ever fired. It is incredibly accurate for a pistol this size. Could this be the best single stack 9mm carry pistol that I have ever shot? Maybe, possibly. It's very nice. Thin, accurate, good trigger, red dot on top. I mean, what is it? And if I didn't say this already, if I did, forgive me. But with a shield sight, with a red dot, you can see, you can co-witness. You're supposed to have a white dot up here, right above of where the red dot's sitting right now. See if I can get it to focus up there. No. But it can absolutely co-witness with the standard sights that come on the PPS. So that's another plus. So what do you think of the PPS? Do you own one? Do you own the M2? Did you have to send it in for recall? What has been your experience with a PPS M2 from Walther? I think it's a really, really good pistol. It has its shortcomings. Whether I can get past those shortcomings, we'll see. I'm definitely going to shoot it more, circle back with you, inform you of what my findings, what my experience has been, and take it from there. I very much look forward to your comments. Please remember that I upload videos every Friday morning and also on Wednesday mornings when the time allows me to. I'm very active on my Instagram, so please follow me there if you're curious about what's coming down on the pipeline, what I'm working on, what new guns have been purchased for the channel, etc. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Please pray for our country, and until the next time, God bless.